Okay, I just made a video on A and O and their closest English approximations, but right now I'm going to talk about the rounded vowels. I mean the rounded consonants of Gothic. So we have this, um, this, uh, this, and the other rounded consonant being this. This. So I'll just borrow these. So so in transcription they would look like this looks like a U, but it's actually a, transcribed as a cube. Um, this one is transcribed with a letter unique to Gothic, which is a where is the name of the letter in both Latin and Gothic. And finally, we have this W, which is pretty straightforward. Um, I sometimes, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who does this, but I will write this G with a dot above it when it's and no dot above when it's G. Uh, in this case, it doesn't actually matter all that much. I'll just set all these to be the same font. So here we have our rounded consonants. Um, in the IPA, and I should have, gotten these ready, but in the IPA you'll see them written with a small W at the, like, just above them. And this is actually, it's fine, I'll just leave it like that. This is ka with this. This is a ha with like, so these are all rounded or labialized. These two you can call labial velar. And finally, we have just, it's just a w sound like in English. And we have one other sound, which is it's sort of like a so the sound like in thing, but then it's rounded. I talk about this in one of my videos for like sing sing one, where the velar N. I personally, try to round it. I think it makes sense that the N would take on the rounding of the preceding consonant. But here we have all of the consonants, and there used to be another one in Proto-Germanic. I think it's like written something like this, and it was the g sound, but then rounded, so gua, which merged with the W in later Proto-Germanic. So we don't need to worry about that. Um, so how do you actually pronounce these? You might see a word like sa like this, and some people, I would consider this a mispronunciation, but they will say that it's sahu, or something like that. Um, I would not say sahu. Um, Other people might say, and the like for example, if we have the word just this backwards, we get was, and a lot of people will write this sound. Even Wiktionary does this, so Wiktionary does the same thing. They write it with an upside down W. And what does this mean? What does this upside down W mean? Well, it's not exactly clear what the upside down W represents exactly. A lot of times, I mean, well, not that many times, but sometimes the IPA will have a certain letter, and they'll say like, oh yeah, this letter. I mean, linguists will say, yeah, this letter is for the sound in this language. Well, how do you describe that? What is this? So one way to look at this is that it's the ha ha, like in German Bach, but then with rounded lips. So we have like was, 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 was. Um, I tried to pronounce it not like hua, but like just with basically an H sound. So more similar to has than has. If you know German, it's a difference between has and I don't think this is the word, but like uh, has. You know, um, I would recommend the first one. And really, all you're doing is just rounding your lips as you're saying it. So, and this is pretty difficult to do. I have to admit, this is like um, learning any new sound, how to pronounce it, how to hear it, how to like differentiate it from similar sounds. It's not easy. So, uh, it's oftentimes in English, another way to write the sound is an H and then a W. So, for example, you might see uh, uh, like whine for the word like wine, and this is typically written with a different symbol on the I. But in any case, you just need to know that this WH is typically written HW, or if it's not written HW, it will be something like this, where you have this upside down W. So you might see it like with the upside down W, whine, whine, whine. Um, but or for example, you have like uh, wheat, which means white. So wheat is white. Um, and I would pronounce it with this like H, ha, but with rounded lips. So like wheat, wheat. And to you and to me also, this sounds basically the same. Okay, this sounds basically the same as wheat. This is how I hear wheat, wheat. Um, Whether I actually pronounce it as a sequence of h and then wa, I don't know. Some people will tell you, oh, just pronounce it h and then wa. Wheat, 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 wheat. So, uh, they sound the same to me. This h wa versus like a single like labialized h. Um, but I guess the way to explain it is that this character, this like little W above it, is not pronounced the same as a big W. It doesn't mean, it's not an actual like sound. This character does not is not a sound. It is not, you cannot separate it from the ka. it has to go on the k because it's telling you how to pronounce the k. So it's not k followed by a tiny sound. It's not a tiny w that you're just pronouncing like differently. It is telling you that there's a feature of this k sound that is actually different from standard k, and that is that while you are saying the k, you're rounding your lips. Um, so I would say when you're saying sah, sah, you don't say it sahu. You don't say it sahu. Or crap, I'm very bad at this, so I apologize since I'm not the best teacher. Um, but it's not like sah, sahwa, sahwa, or something like that. It's just like a single sah, sah, sah. Um, I guess another way to say it is sahu is approximately as close as sow, 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 sahu, because this this you like isn't an actual like sound that's being pronounced separately from the H. It's just one together thing. Um, so the IPA could have just as easily put the W behind the H. It wouldn't um, have meant anything. It's just by convention it goes in front. You could like put it above or below hypothetically. That's not what the convention is. Um, but this wa is a good example because it's actually um, if you look at the IPA and they have like a chart of how the characters are pronounced. And I'm not going to do this the most professionally. I'm just drawing it here. Um, but you'll see there's a column for Velar, a Velar column, and here we have at the top. I the order doesn't actually matter, but let's just say we have at the top we have a nga, and next to it, all right, uh, you know, uh, alveolar. Um, you'll usually see dental and alveolar, split up. But for you know, I'm talking about Gothic, and it doesn't really matter for the current um, conversation. We have an N, and I'll just copy this instead of trying to because it looks good enough. Um, and we have our uh, labial consonants. And again, you could like distinguish, bilabial and all that. But in any case, we don't need to. We're just putting an M here. So ma, na, nga, and then we have palatal, which is typically written. Well, I mean, it's basically always written in the IPA as something like. How is it written? I can't actually remember what the symbol is, but in Polish you would write it like this. In Spanish you would write it like this. Um, I apologize. I mean, it's something like this, like an N with a tail. Uh, but it doesn't really matter because Gothic doesn't have this sound anyway, so you don't need to worry about it. It doesn't appear in Gothic. Then we have let's see, labial. So here we have b and p, b, p, and in English, the p is always aspirated like this. with a little H above it, but we don't need to worry about that. And then here we have duh and tuh. And for velar, the sounds we have here are g and k. And for the palatal, uh, we have this like C looking, I mean, it is a C, and a thing that looks sort of like this. Gothic doesn't have the C, so you don't need to worry about that. I can't remember exactly how this is written, but it's like a dotless J, something like that. Then we have, let's see, labial. We have the and f. We have the and the, so both written th in English. And then for velar, we have this g, which is the way Gothic, like giva, is usually pronounced with this g sound. And in addition, we also have a h, which in Gothic is another realization of the g phoneme, where at the ends of words and before voiceless consonants, it's pronounced ch most likely. Um, this the is an allophone of duh. This f doesn't actually appear in Gothic. Instead, we get this, which is bilabial. And for the v, we get this, which is also bilabial. And this is an allophone of b, so ava, ava, ava. And there's another symbol which is like this, which is like labiodental. So we can, I'll just uh, switch this into labial dental and denti alveolar. No, wait, not denti alveolar. Bilabial. So for the labial dental, we have this ma, 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 which isn't in Gothic or really many languages at all. And we have fa and va. Fa and va are both labial dental, but they're not in Gothic, so we can just ignore labial dental. Just ignore it's Gothic doesn't have it. Um, then we have this ya sound, which is written in Gothic like this, with a G-looking symbol. Um, what these are called, okay, so these are the approximants, and I, I can do better than that. I'm just going to move these up here. So the ones I'm talking about now are the approximants, and here we have what are called fricatives. Uh, fr and finally, I mean, this isn't all the sounds in the IPA, but we have this sort of, I believe they're called uvular consonants. I should really put palatal in between velar and alveolar. That's what I should have done. I'm just going to move this over. Because the palatal sounds are like basically in between the velar and the alveolar and post-alveolar and like dental. Oh, and also I forgot, s and z are also in this same place. They're what are called sibilants. In Gothic, you could call them dentialveolar sibilants. Um, So they're also there. I'm sorry if I'm like going too slowly, because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. But in the uvular, we have this H sound, this ha, like in English. And finally, we have, this is not a fricative, it is, goes here. Um, and we have a velar, approximate, which is, I believe, written something like this, unless that's a different thing. But in any case, it's almost always rounded. So we can actually add another category, which is the labiovelar. And the labiovelar are pronounced with rounded lips. So we have like this, and this is also like two, should be down here. Oops. And this video, I guess, is more for people who are like interested in learning the IPA, I guess. Here we have these written with these labiovelar. So these are just a single sound. They're not. Um, this, like I said, it used to be in Proto-Germanic, but it just merged with other sounds. And here we have this upside down W, and here we have this. So in Gothic and this h sound in Proto-Germanic became h. H became h. So for example, instead of for example, we have the Gothic word havan, havan, instead of chavan, chavan. So this is so we have this. I would write this as like this, and it's also a uvular, but just like a labialized uvular, like a H with rounded lips. So, uh, in terms of actually how to pronounce these, it's uh, we actually do the same thing in English. So, for example, "ra," we have this "ra," and in certain places, I can pronounce it like this. And I can actually flip this upside down um, to show, that it's the English "ra" as opposed to "ra, ra, ra," which is what the regular R usually represents. So we have something like this: "ra, ra, ra." So if I put this separately, "ra," put the tiny W after it, "ra, ra, ra." This, "ra, ra, ra." This, "ra, ra, ra." If you can't hear the difference, I wouldn't be too surprised. But because these do not contrast, they're what are considered allophones, so you'll never like be able to like differentiate two English words by one has, let's say hypothetically English did have a contrast like this. So we have we have right and right, and these two words are pronounced the same. Um, so you cannot differentiate these by labializing the R, even though we have a W there. So hypothetically, if these were two, let's say there was like some alternative like English language where this word and this word were pronounced differently, um, or even like this word. Like, so in this hypothetical English, we would say right, right, right with just an R. And for the one with the W, we would say right, right, right. And if we were like always making that distinction and always like making sure, okay, this word has a W, we have to pronounce it ra as opposed to ra, then we might be able to hear that difference easier. Another thing is German has sha, which make it's we write it sh, but in German it's sch. But in German, it's not pronounced the same as in English. In German, it actually is pronounced like this. So, schauen, um, schade, 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 with this labialization as opposed to schade, schade, schade. German, schade, 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 schade. Um, I'm, probably butchering that, but in any case, it's not the same thing as schwa, schwa. It's not schwade. So if you're saying, the word quimon, if you're pronouncing that quimon, quimon, that's, a bit similar to saying white, white, white. You don't say white. You don't, white someone you don't write someone a story. You don't, um, talk about like, oh, these are the funeral rites. There's no W there. It's just marking that the R, when you say that R, right, right. If you say it the same way I do, your lips will be together. So, in English, when we say quite, quite, you might notice that your lips start apart, k, 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 and then go to wa, quite, quite, quite. These are two separate sounds being pronounced in sequence, whereas in a word like right, right, there's no white, 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 nothing like that. It's just right. And at the beginning of the word, you're already pronouncing it with rounded lips. That's You're not like going from unrounded lips to rounded lips. And this is one thing why I think ngwa is more likely than nga in Singwan. It's because this isn't like a separate thing going after the G. It's just an aspect of how the G is being pronounced. And if we look at here, these the nga, which we usually see before ga, so like um, rings, rings, rings for ring. I can't remember if this is attested, but for like in English we would just say ring, but with that nga sound always followed by a g sound. In Gothic and in older stages like Middle English, Old English, and like other like old Germanic languages, but not modern German. In modern German, you say like England or whatever, or you say ring, 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 um, ring, ringer. I don't, I don't think you pronounce the G in German. I could be, misremembering since it's been a while since I studied German phonology. Um, but I'm going to test something. I'm going to record myself saying right, white, and right, right. Oh, I can't remember which one I did. Sorry. Right, r- white, and finally, uh, right. I recorded myself saying and finally, but whatever. Doesn't really matter. Right, r- white, and finally, uh, right. Yeah, uh, enough, yeah, yeah, I don't know how useful that was. I'm going to put it on, and let's see if I don't know what I just did. Uh, okay. Yeah, I'm not the best at using this. I'll just say, come on, come on. Um, quick, 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 quick. Help, help. I don't know why the "k" sounds like "h" in reverse, but that is kind of annoying. Um, I'm going to, let's see, draw. Okay, okay. Where's the play button? I don't know. How do I play it? I don't know. Um, quick, quick. I'm sorry. Okay, okay, here's what I was wanting to do. Quick, quick. Let's see. Let's try 1.29. Quick, 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 quick. Let's try 1.3. Quick, 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 quick. 1.31. Quick, 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 quick. And I can also go over here to 2.37. Quick, quick, quick. And you can hear I'm just saying wick, wick, wick. You can cut out the k part and just get wick. Now here I'm going to come on, come on. I'm going to record that again. Come on, come on, come on. Now I hear qua with a w sound, but I don't know if that's because I'm pronouncing it as that, but I'll try again. Practice makes perfect. You know what? I'm going to. No, no, no. I don't think analyzing row would be that useful. Um, come on, come on, come on. Okay, so where's this? This is like, let's say 1.1. Come on, come on, come on. 1.15. Come on, come on, come on, come on. So here you just say Iman. You just hear Iman. Come on, 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 come on. So, you should notice that there's no "w." There's no "w." You can't. There's no point at which you can start it and then hear the "w" sound. So in the other one, you could hear "wick, wick, wick." You don't hear that here. You just hear "quimon" and then "iman." You can't get rid of, you can't separate the k from the w because they aren't two separate sounds. It's just one qua sound. Qua, qua, qua. Um, and there's just no way to do that because it's not two separate sounds. Um, I'm going to try with hua now. Wheat, 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 wheat. Okay, so about, let's say 1.28, 1.28. Wheat, 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 wheat. I'm clearly hearing wheat, so that tells you that I'm not pronouncing this too well. Um, let's try again. Wheat, wheat, wheat. I'm not using any of those. Wheat, and let's try it now. Those wheat, those wheat. Beat, 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 beat. Wheat, wheat, beat, beat, eat, eat, eat. So eat. Um, beat, beat, beat. I'm still hearing wheat with a hua. Beat, 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 beat. Now I'm hearing beat with a buh. That's weird. Beat, beat, beat. Beat, 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 beat. That's very strange. I don't know why I'm hearing a buh. Beat, beat, beat. Beat, 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 beat. Now I'm just hearing eat. Um, let's try again. Hwas, hwas, hwas. 0.85. Apparently you have to put it hwas, 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 hwas. I'm hwas, hwas, hwas. 0.9. Hwas, 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 hwas. 1. Hwas, hwas. I'm not used to this being like important. Hwas, 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 hwas. It kind of sounds like was. I'm not really sure. Um, now I'm going to record myself saying sahwa, sah, sahwa, the best that I can. Sah, um, I'm sah. Let's, sah. I just went with that. I was going to try to say it with the SAHW separate from the H, but oh well. Sah, 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 sah. So now, if it was how like some people say, I should be able to hear sahu, sahu. Um, And if it is Sahu, right? If it is Sahu, then I just need to end the recording at some point, and then I'll just hear Sa, and that's Sahu, Sahu. And you can actually choose when the recording ends. So let's do see 0.93. Let's do 0.93. See what we hear. Sa, sa. So here we just say here sa. Um, so sa ends here. This is where ends. And what's this? Do we see two different distinct consonants? Well, maybe. Maybe this is the and then after it we get the wa. Maybe that. I mean, it's possible that's how I'm pronouncing it, anyways. So we can test this out with Prat. Uh, sa, sa, sa. I don't know. I mean, this looks pretty consistent. I don't see any place that it could be. But let's go 0.991. Sa, 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 sa. It's hard for me to tell. Is that an H? Sa, sa, sa. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to actually. Sa, sa, sa. Let's see what we hear in reverse. I'm curious. Huas, huas, huas. You hear huas, huas. Yave huas thukanano the rasta ena. You know, anyways, Prat, I'm still learning how to use it, but I think I'm going to continue using it to practice my Gothic pronunciation. And, regardless of what language you're learning, if you want to actually, uh, you know, uh, if you're learning a modern language, you can just listen to native speakers and talk with them and do all that. But even if you are doing that, I think, you can take a look at Prat and it might help you accomplish that. Um, but in any case, that's it for today.